Today is June the 7th. It is the first Sunday of the month, and that's a big day. I've talked about it a couple of months here. It's just like there's a meetup in the morning, there's a meetup in the afternoon. I do both with a little lunch break. As a matter of fact, because the meetup in the morning is kind of later in the morning, I go out right at sunrise. So I actually went to a location, met up with a guy just randomly. I had no intention of anything. It was just like, this place is nearby. I haven't been there in a little bit. I should go there and kind of walk around. I pull in the parking lot. He's in his car waiting for someone else to get there, and he comes immediately sees me, comes out, and he's like, "Oh, you're here to see the cuckoo." And I went, "The what now?" I had no idea. There had been one spotted. They think it was a black bill. There's a rare bird, so it was bringing people out to see it. We did not see it this day. That's not the story of the day, but it is funny that I met up with him. And so then we go to the next birding location, then we do that. But on the first location, there's a great heron. This is just what we're starting with. Very close, good photo of it. I'm happy about that. We're just hitting some highlights. At one point, we are down where the cuckoo was supposedly. There was a photo of it, so it was seen. I'm not saying supposedly, but that supposedly it was there. It was definitely seen, just not 100% sure of the location, like at this particular place, because it just said the ditch, which wasn't the most detailed that it could have been, I think. So we were there looking, listening, kind of split up around this patch of trees that was there. We had Merlin going. We're doing our best to see, because it sounds so, different, that we probably would be able to see it if it was indeed there. Didn't see that, but we picked up on a blue grosbeak, which I've only seen for the very first time in my life a week before this point. And it flushes out at one point and flies over and kind of lands. It's not the best photo or anything, but I'm still happy that I saw it. It was very backlit. The sunlight wasn't exactly ideal, and I couldn't quite get it in focus. It was there for just a minute, and I was like, let me try to get a little closer, and it flew off. It did not like me moving and flew off, so still cool that we saw it. We move on. We go to our next location. Actually, while we were there was this one little thing that I thought was pretty cool. We saw a bunch of kestrels up in the tree, and the assumption is there were actually four of them. There were these three, and then one off to the side. So probably two parents, two children, more than likely what was there. But like, you don't get to see kestrels very often sitting together like this. That's really cool. Um, it was great. Happy about that. Another highlight from the day is that we happened to see the avocets, and they had children. They've had their babies by this point. Again, not the best photo that I've taken or anything, but they're really cute out there. The way they're like stomping around and waddling around. They haven't quite, learned how to walk or anything. They're fairly young at this point, but that was great. Saw that. And then the main thing that we're going to hit on, first of all, while we're there at this second location, I am going to keep the list for a change. I've never done that before. It's a responsibility I did not, think about or realize, but like I've been proving myself, coming to these things, doing what I can, sticking with the main guy who I met at the first place, as we just happen to be there. He's leading the second location trip, and for battery concerns for an older iPhone that doesn't last all day, no problem. I've got a newer phone that can, and I've got a wireless charger that I tried to even give to the guy so he could keep the list digitally, but I'm the one keeping the list, which means we got like 25 or 30 people out there, and everybody's reporting into me what they saw. Let me know whatever's going to happen. And then it was like, does anybody looking for a target? Has anybody got anything? And it was, yeah, me. I would really like to get a photo of a common yellow throat. We keep hearing them, and we'll see them for just a moment as they're like going in bushes or trees or things, but not long enough for me to get a photo of them. And we kept hearing them throughout this day. So I kept having people coming up to me so that I'd keep the list, be like, hey, heard a common yellow throat. That is great. Super happy about it. It was fun. I've never kept the list before. I realized it was a responsibility that I can do, but like it was just nerve wracking of doing that. But we go and we're out there for, I don't know, 3 hours, something like that. And it started out with this guy who's leading it being like, I am confident we're going to get you your yellow throat today. Till wading through being like, maybe it was a little much to say for sure that was going to happen. We might have started a little too strong on that. And we get to the very end. We've been hanging out this whole day, going around. We've got a bunch of people there and petering off as the day gets hotter. And we finally get to the end. We've just been hanging out, looking at birds, talking about birds, the whole thing for multiple hours. And we're about to break for lunch and then meet up at the next location because there's another one later. But one last time, he's like, come on, let's just go take a look. It's right here in this area. We keep hearing them. They've got to be somewhere. Let's go see if we can find the yellow throat. And something goes right past after he hears it, and I get to the binoculars first, and I see it. And that is not a good photo, but that is the common yellow throat. I know what I'm looking for at this point. It's been told to me enough times, and I did look it up. Yellow throat and this black bar from eye to eye. They call it like the bandito mask. Yeah, I saw it. That was great. And I see it and I'm like, oh, that's it. And I grab the camera and I start taking pictures. And he's now focusing on with the binoculars. I actually managed to get it first, which doesn't happen very often. And we see it out there here in the reeds. That's cool. So this is something that you can actually see here. Open beak, and there's this little spot here. That's kind of important because what it does next is it then flies almost directly at us and then peters off right at the last second and lands in the tree nearby. And I get some good photos of it. I got to admit, I got some pretty good. The way it landed and everything, this was the highlight of the day for sure. And it happens to line up with the fact that, like, it was the final attempt. We literally were getting ready to leave. And it was like, well, let's just take a minute, walk back over there. And it just happened to line up that we see it. Not only do we see it, not only do I get some amazingly good photos, this is where I fully zoom in with the lens, and it's just perfect. It's got a spider in its mouth, multiple legs. You can see it. It just grabbed it. We watched it. Like I saw it must have grabbed it and then flew off with it. Lands in this tree right here, practically on display for us. And I managed to get some really good shots of a common yellow throat. Like, this is top. This isn't just, hey, a new species for me, which it was, and I finally can document it as one that I have seen, but it was doing something cool, and I got amazing photos of it right there. Like, it hits every possible box, and it's got an amazing story behind it. I then have this on my camera, and I tell everyone who's willing to listen at the next meetup about it. Literally, as soon as, because that's pretty common when you see someone you haven't seen in a bit, because these are monthly meetups. It's like, what have you been seeing lately? And I go, oh, I got a story to tell you in a picture. By the end of it, I probably told the story 4 or 5 times, and it, like, the guy we finally, like, we're meeting up, and he hears it, and he's like, Michael, are you telling that story about the yellow throat today? I go, I sure am. Are you kidding me? It was an amazing story, and I've got cool photos of it. So, like, top tier, one of the best days going out and seeing this, getting the photos of the yellow throat was amazing, getting to show it off and see that, and just the fact that it happened. And we're zooming in, like, there on my camera being like, look at it. We thought maybe a tick, but based on the number of legs and the size of it, I think that's a spider. I couldn't ask for anything else. This was an amazing day out. Great photos, fantastic story. One of my all-time favorites. I'm glad I'm recording this so that I will never forget it. I'm sure I'll remember it here, but if I ever need a refresher, this is me reliving it now and experiencing it. What a great day. Excellent.